that God uniquely loves each and every one of us. So much so that he sends his only Son into this world to redeem us from our brokenness and from our sin. God loves you. So what does that really look like? Well, the truth of the matter is, if we open ourselves up to the reality that God loves us and we begin to live that in our lives and we begin to realize that in our lives, it can be transformational. It can make a difference in who we are and how it is that we face this world. I was having a conversation once with someone about that very idea, that God loves us. And they said, in theory that's true, but I don't know how to make that real for me. And so what I suggested that they do is something that I'm going to suggest that you do. Think of someone in your life, someone that you have known, mother, father, brother, sister, friend, who has loved you in a way in which you could not deny it. You knew that they loved you. It gave you life to know that. It lifted you up. It gave you strength to go forward from day to day in a world that truly is broken, in a world that truly is sin-sick. You felt loved, you felt cared for, you felt warm, you felt safe. If you can begin to recall that, then you are beginning to just scratch the surface of the kind of love that God offers to you and to me. So that's the first thing I want you to know. God loves you. The second thing that I think is important for us to understand is that you and I must believe it to make it real in our lives. Notice I didn't say believe in it. I'm not talking about intellectual assent here. I'm talking about believing in the reality that God loves you. Personally, uniquely, God loves you. And if you believe it and move beyond that intellectual assent to what it is that the church means when we use that word believe, to give one's heart to, then you begin to open yourself up to the possibilities of living a life of love in God opens up to you. Believe it. And then finally, if you believe it, it is important that you live it. That you actually allow God's love to penetrate your life, to penetrate your soul, so much so that it oozes forth from you, and then you go out into the world and you live that love. It means that you will be challenged in ways that you perhaps aren't being challenged now. It means that you will be asked to forgive those that you have not forgiven. It means that you will be asked to reach out to those who make you feel uncomfortable or even fearful because they are different from you, because they think differently from you, because they look differently from you. It means that you and I are called to a life in the teachings of Jesus Christ. This is really not a challenging thing in the sense that the church has always taught these very things. God loves you. You need to believe that for your own well-being and for the well-being of the world, and you need to live that out in your life. If you're not doing that, then it's difficult to see Jesus in the other. To be able to walk over to someone who is challenged or suffering and to step outside of your comfort zone to be able to serve them as Christ serves us. The road of the follower of Christ, the road of the Christian, is not an easy road. It is not. God will ask you to do things time and time again that challenge you, that cause you to move beyond your comfort zone, that perhaps even scare you. But here's the promise. God will never, ever, ever ask you to do something that God will not be there to sustain you through. That God will not give you the strength to meet the challenge. That God will not give you the wisdom to see the path forward. You are, however, required to make a choice. You are, however, required to step out in faith. So if you want to know what Lent is all about, in fact, if you want to know what this thing we call church is all about. The message is simple. God loves you. Believe it, then live it.